The Super Conqueror may be one of the biggest artillery magnets in the game, but it is also very, very dirty, and today we're going to be seeing it fight dirty in the replay that we have. This is going to be one of the best Super Conqueror games out there, and I hope you enjoy. So today's video, we of course have a clown in the mix, and one that is going to have an insane replay on Ruinberg. So this is a really interesting one. We'll see how the Super Conqueror copes in a match where hopefully you haven't got cope, but at least we'll be seeing what this tank can do when it gets hulled down, when it's in a situation that's a bit stressful, and when it has to carry in this top tier game, being one of 4 vehicles at tier 10 within the game on his team. Of course, when you have to rely on your teammates as a lower tier vehicle, it's always a lot harder to come away with a win, but when you're playing in this top tier heavy tank, then yeah, you're not going to struggle too much when you're playing up against tier 8s and 9s, and instantly gets himself into the aggressive position on Ruinberg, where you can play up against the 53 TP and be a proper nuisance for the enemy team that are going to be playing on that kind of ridge on the centre, where this BZ on the enemy team is playing over here, and of course the Emil 1. Now the 60 TP on the enemy team, thinking that he's funny, decides that he's going to try and push up as well, but it's not going to end up very well for him, as we see the Super Conqueror used in its kind of best capacity. And the one thing that I want to tell you guys about is that the Super Conqueror's armor, when you do get yourself hulled down, is very good, and you can come away with a lot of bounces. But the problem is that if you come up against a skill player or someone that knows what they're doing against a vehicle like this, you are going to find yourself in a world of pain, because they can pen you pretty much every time that you're going to be able to pen them, because of the fact that there are 3 main weak points on the Super Conqueror, one of them being far less known, I guess, by the majority of players, but we can outline them here right now when we come to a bit of a kind of slower proportion of the game. Not that it is a very slow game in itself, because of the 8-minute nature that this game only lasts for, but you're seeing here just pushing up. And the one problem that you have is the giant lower plate. As I'm sure you well know, the British lower plates are absolutely terrible and can be penned by basically everything. So as soon as you expose your lower plate, you're going to get penned by everything, as well as the fact that as soon as you expose any of your side armor, you can get penned because it's British. And of course, when you expose any kind of side scraping capability that the Super Conqueror may have, what you'll do is you'll find that you end up actually getting penned in the engine deck because it's raised. You also have a turret ring that people can pen, so it's like a factor of loads of different things that people can go for. And of course you do have that top of the turret which can be penned in the cupola. It's very difficult to be able to reliably pen, but it's possible, and the best players will be able to do it at these short ranges like we're seeing here. Now, unfortunately for the enemy team, they've not really been able to do a whole deal against the Super Conqueror, and in fact it's actually the 60 TP who decides he's going to come around the corner, not actually fully coming around the corner to be able to get an easy shell in, and in fact is now getting punished by the Super Conqueror for making such a foolish mistake. Obviously, if you were the 60 TP player, you would probably want to come all the way around the corner so you can quite easily get a shot of damage in, and of course take away the annoying tank that's holding up a lot of your teammates in this area. Now that doesn't happen. Luckily it doesn't happen, because now the Super Conqueror has completed this flank essentially, other than the BZ and this 60 TP, who will also soon find their demise. And unfortunately for the BZ-75, he cannot pen the Super Conqueror, and it's kind of feels bad. But at this point it's starting to stack up like, oh no, it's 11 versus 5, and the team are looking like they're going to start flagging and failing, and then it's going to be a ruffle stomp. So I'm sure the Super Conqueror players thinking, it's time to start getting spicy and start actually pumping the enemy team. Now, What you don't want to happen in a Super Conqueror is get sausage sandwiched, so I'm sure that he's after that damage straight away early on so that he can hopefully carry as the game goes on, but unfortunately takes that massive hit from the 60 TP. And if you're in this sort of area, what you want to make sure that you're doing is obviously side scraping, making sure that you're making it difficult for opponents, and when the 60 TP, who for some unbeknownst reason decides that he's going to YOLO in and then decides to bounce off of him rather than saving that shell and hopefully going for him. But either way, the Super Conqueror decides he's going to pen the waffle, which is ideally what you want to be doing. Get rid of the low health vehicles, the ones that are going to be a pain, and then come around the side of you, take you out. The smaller the vehicle, usually the more annoying it can be, and usually when you're in this sort of game, you want to be making sure to get rid of those players like the waffle that can come around the side, like the 60 TP. Once you get rid of them, you've then got to deal with the flies that might be things like the mediums who are going to surround you or try and take you out. But luckily in this game, you're seeing here the Super Conqueror target prioritization going very, very well. Or the priority of the targets he's hitting is obviously really on point, and he's been able to actually bring it back from being an 11-5 all the way to a 14-12, which is really, really nice. And of course now only down by one actual tank and 2 artillery pieces, but bear in mind those artillery pieces could quite easily remove the remaining hit points off of the Super Conqueror. But luckily for him, he's now in the kind of annoying spot for this enemy vehicle. But unfortunately it is the tier 10 and it is the VZ55, the double pumper from the Czech line, and you don't want to be getting hit by that at all. So what he does is he actually hides around that corner a little bit, goes for the tracking shot and the damage, of course hoping to get that as well, but ends up not even doing either. But unfortunately for the VZ, he makes the mistake of coming way too far around the corner, overcommitting and then getting himself into a bit of a pickle. But you're seeing now the Super Conqueror utilising this wreck that's in front of him, and hopefully he's able to push it, hiding that lower plate and only exposing a mere morsel of his vehicle that is the turret. And of course we all know about Super Conqueror turrets and just being absolutely fine and balanced. Now he does do a little bit of a side scrape up against his VZ since he needs to get him out pretty quick or the artillery is going to find him, and luckily for him he does actually manage to shut down the VZ and showcases that the Super Conqueror, although it may be annoying in some scenarios when you're getting pounded by artillery, can still do really well against the main heavy tanks within the game. And you can corner fight, you can be a bit of a force even though you might not have the highest alpha, and there are quite a few weak points when you're at close quarter combat that opponents can utilise. You know, we've talked about them. And the one that we kind of glossed over, or at least like didn't fully flesh out because of the action that was going on, was that engine deck which can be penned. Now it's not as easy to see with the skin that we've got, but essentially when you side scrape like this, you have a raised engine deck which can be penned by people who can be overmatched even, in fact, and it does get overmatched. So you'll see yourself side scraping and people with good aim will actually aim, and if they get RNG on their side it will hit. And so you'll end up getting penned in this rear portion as you side scrape, which is a pain. You also have that turret ring as well underneath the kind of spaced armor that you have with this vehicle. Now unfortunately the GW Tiger P is actually set up for a shotgun, which is not good, but the proxy spot actually manages to find him before going around the corner. Had the GW Tiger P been a proper big brain smart artillery player, he probably would have moved further back and pre-aimed the same spot, since he would have been able to spot him and take him out. Now luckily the M53-55 gets spotted, and with a HE round with 500 alpha I believe with this thing, 515, he's able to remove the rest of his hit points. And unfortunately for the GW Tiger Pig, that is game over as well. A brilliant game from the Super Conqueror, and hopefully you guys did enjoy. Don't forget that if you have yourself up against this vehicle and you're not sure what to do, don't panic, because there are a ton of weak points and hopefully this video showcased them. But also don't forget the power of that 400 alpha damage with its standard rounds and the rate of fire that this tank gets to really punish opponents. And of course don't let this thing get hold down or it will chew its way through you. If you want to check out any more videos, then make sure to check out these ones on screen, and I really do thank you for watching this one. Subscribe if you aren't already, and of course liking the video really does help it out and boosts it in YouTube, so thank you very much to anyone that does do that, and I hope that I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.